Hello everybody, hope you all are doing good out there. This is the first video in a series that we are going to be doing in which we take a look at all of Case's Stockmans. Now when I say all of Case's Stockmans, I mean all of Case's Stockmans that are currently in production. Case has been around for many years, and throughout the years they have made many different Stockmans. And it would be extremely difficult to get every one of them. And beyond that, I don't see a real practical reason to do a video on every one of them, simply because you can't go out and buy one. The idea in making this video is to give a guide so people who are looking to buy a knife can go on here and to look and learn about the knife and all the features about it and so on. And so that's the idea. There's so many Stockmans from Case. There's more Stockmans, I believe, than any other pattern. You can see, I believe we got 8 of them here. And all of these are current production Stockmans from Case. You can buy all these from Case at the current time. And so these are the ones we're going to be looking at. Now, there are different ways that we could divide these out. We could do all the square bolstered Stockmans, which, of course, there's 4 of them. Or we could do the round bolstered Stockmans. Of course, there's 4 of them. We could also go by size. You know, we could start with the smallest and go to the largest, or we could go from the largest to the smallest. There are different ways we could do it. We could look at popularity. But either way, we are going to make 8 videos, and each one of these videos is going to highlight one of these knives. And we're going to compare them to each other heavily throughout these videos. And so I want y'all, if you will, to comment down below what you think about whatever particular Stockman we're looking at in these videos, and comment which one you like better than others, and which one you've carried the most. I think we'll begin this series with the 18 pattern Stockman. It is the most popular Case Stockman. I believe it is probably the easiest Case Stockman to find, and there are more different versions, more variety of the 18 Stockman than any of the others. And so we're going to take a look at the 18 Stockman in this first video. We'll begin this overview with the size and the weight of the 18 pattern Stockman. When this Stockman is closed, it comes in, it's rated at 3 5/8, but most of mine are just a speck shorter than that. They're closer to 3 1/2 when closed, but 3 5/8 is the official measurement. They're going to have these two back springs, 3 brass liners, and this yellow synthetic one, as you can see. It's just under 1/2 inch. To say 1/2 inch would be a good way to cover all these, no matter whether it's a smooth handle, whether it's synthetic, whether it's bone, whether it's jig. That'll give you a pretty good guess, around 1/2 inch wide. Your main blade is going to be the longest blade, and the cutting edge on the main blade is 2 1/4 inches long. That's not including the kick or the tang. That is just the cutting edge itself, around 2 1/4 long. Now the weight on the 18 pattern Stockman is going to be about 2.30 to 2.40 ounces. This one, being a yellow synthetic 18 pattern, is going to be a little lighter than most of the bone versions out there. The next thing to note about the 18 pattern Stockman from Case, we already noticed the fact that it has 2 back springs. Not all Stockmans have 2 back springs. But we must note that it has a main clip blade. This one here is known as a California clip. There are some versions of the 18 with a standard clip, which we will show shortly. But this is going to be the standard clip point blade on an 18 pattern Stockman. Your secondary blade is going to be this sheep's foot blade, which is probably going to be the most used blade on this knife. It's got an excellent shape to it, and it's a great user blade. Plus, it's very ergonomic and comfortable in the hand. Then the third and last blade is going to be this spade blade right here. This blade has a nice thick blade stock going down all the way to the very tip, so I normally use this if I have a harder task I need to do with my knife. Now there are 2 variations that you will sometimes see with the 18 pattern. The first is that sometimes they will have a punch. Instead of the spade blade, they'll have a punch back here. You'll see them occasionally. They're not very common, but they are out there. The second variation you're going to see is sometimes this California clip blade will be switched out for a standard clip blade. Here's an example of that. The one on the top is a standard clip blade. The one on the bottom is the California clip blade. The standard clip blade is very rare. There's only 2 or 3 of these from Case that actually have the standard clip blade. The California clip is the one that's going to be the most common on the 18 pattern Stockman, which we're going to see is not a common trait among the rest of Case Stockman. Most of them have a standard clip blade. Most of them by far have a standard clip blade. One of the best things about the 18 pattern Stockman from Case is the variety in the handles that you can get it in. This one is the classic yellow synthetic. This is the classic amber bone. This is the classic red pocket warren. I've got 2 other models also. I've got it in a blue bone, which I really like. That's one of my favorite 18s. I've also got it here in a bone stag. So you can see that there is a large variety in the handle materials. And Case makes all kinds of different handle materials that you can get on the 18 pattern Stockman. That is not necessarily true of a lot of these other Stockmans that we're going to be showcasing in this series. So this is a definite benefit to the 18 pattern. If you're somebody who really likes a certain color, or who is collecting a certain handle material, or a certain handle material series or color, the 18 pattern certainly runs heads and tails, as they say, above all the rest of them. And so if that's what you're looking for, the 18 pattern should be high up on your list. The other thing that's great about the 18 pattern is the steel options. You can get it in carbon steel, and you can get it in stainless steel. This one right here is going to be in carbon steel. You can see it says CV right there on the blade. This one here is going to be in stainless steel. You can see it says stainless steel right there on the blade. And so if you're somebody who really likes carbon steel and you want a Stockman, your best chance is going to be to get an 18 pattern or an 032 pattern, but we'll talk about that one when it comes around. But for the moment, let us just simply say that if you like stainless steel and carbon steel, you're going to have a better variety with the 18 pattern again than you will a lot of the other patterns. The next thing we need to note that's going to be a common trait among the Stockmans is that this is a round bolstered Stockman. We're going to keep running into Stockmans that are square bolstered. Now, a square bolstered Stockman, as you can see, is squared off in the ends instead of rounded off. And there are benefits to both designs. But the benefit to the round bolster is when it's in your pocket, it's less likely to poke your pocket and wear a hole in it over time, or be sharp in your leg if you're bending down or something like that. It's a serpentine shape, the handle itself is. That means it's going to fit the back of your hand well. If you notice right there, it sits right in your hand nicely. So it's comfortable to hold and to use. And that's truly one of the best things about the 18. It's comfortable to use. We saw it wasn't too heavy, coming in at 2.30 ounces, and at just a speck over 3.5 inches. When it's closed, it's not too long, and it's also not too wide. But one interesting feature about the 18 pattern that a lot of people don't know about is how sturdily it's built. What I mean by that is, if you look at this, look how wide the nickel-silver bolsters are, how wide the brass liners are. If we compare that to like an 032 Stockman, you can see there's a big difference. Look how much difference there is in the thickness of the middle liner. And the 18 Stockman is one of the most sturdily built Stockmans that I've seen out there. And they're all like this, all the ones that I have. They're just built solid, and I've never found an 18 pattern with any wiggle in the blade. Now, I'm sure it happens, I just haven't ran across it yet. And I've ran across a lot of these 18 pattern Stockmans. Notice how thick the blade stock is on that blade, and how it goes into the handle there. This is a solid knife. Another thing to keep in mind is the bolster, because of its shape, is going to extend a little farther out So when you open the blade, more of the bolster is going to be sticking out here onto the tang stamp. See what I'm saying? So you've got more bolster on either side of the blade and farther out than you do on a square bolster design, which I think adds some sturdiness to the blade design again. The 18 Stockman, I believe, is designed with the idea that this sheep's foot blade is going to be the primary blade that's going to be used. And the California clip blade lays kind of down in the handle there. So it is extremely, extremely comfortable to use. You really can't make a knife more comfortable to use than this is when the sheep's foot blade is out. Now, a common trait about the 18 pattern Stockmans is that the sheep's foot blade rides kind of high in the handle, and some people don't like that. One benefit to it is that you can pinch that blade open. Since that's going to be your main blade, you can pinch it open without having to use your fingernail. But if it's bothering you, it's easy enough to lower that blade a little bit. I did that on this blue Stockman. I could lower it more. I could put it down to right about there if I really wanted to, but it doesn't bother me where it's at. All you have to do if you should want to lower the blade is to remove some material right here from the kick. Simple, but it does not need to be done. But if it bothers you, it can be done. The pattern number, as we've been referring to it, is the 18 pattern. The first number, the 6, is a reference to the handle material. Yellow synthetic is a 3, for instance, black synthetic is a 2. Bone handles are going to be a 6. The next number, the 3, is a reference to how many blades. And as we saw, this is a 3-bladed knife, has 3 blades. So we've got a 3 there. And then the 18 is a reference to the handle itself. Now for some comparisons. What would be a good size comparison with some other knives? Throughout this series, I'm planning on using the full-size Trapper and the Sodbuster Jr. to do the comparisons because those are such common knives these days. And most people have at least somewhat of an idea of how the size compares. When it comes to length, the 18 pattern Stockman is basically the same length as the Sodbuster Jr. when it's closed, although it is a lot different shape. Sodbuster Jr. is a single blade, so it's going to be a whole lot thinner. It's got one back spring. But the blade on the Sodbuster, because of the design, is going to be a little bigger, a little longer. Then as for the full-size Trapper, which again, most people are going to have a pretty good idea about the size of a full-size Trapper. Full-size Trapper is a lot bigger than the 18 pattern. Now, in the Stockman lineup, the 18 pattern falls between the 032 Stockman and the 47 pattern Stockman. So, in conclusion, the 18 pattern really shines in its availability. They're easier to get, in the variety, in that you can get all kinds of different handles and steels in it, and simply in its usability. The sheep's foot blade really shines on this knife, and the serpentine handle really shines when you're carrying it and when you're holding it in your hand. Y'all comment down below what you think about the 18 pattern Stockman. Have a good day, thank you for watching, and keep your knives sharp.